wax on, and we'll move on with this. Tell me when you're ready to push the button. You ready?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm gonna give you a few more minutes if need be.
What do we,
It's on.
I'm fine.
What all, you wanted to figure out what's gonna be discussed before you turn the mics on?
I want to be that one.
Do we need to do the pledge and everything on this meeting?
Pardon me?
Do a pledge and everything at this meeting? Okay. Call this meeting order. All stand place to flag for the pledge. Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Well, too quick. Roll call. Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan. Here. Tim Yoakum. Hey, we're all here to discuss ambulance today. We've got some different things to discuss. Number one is the purchase of a new ambulance. We was at the council meeting the other night, and the council approved $260,000. Was that correct?
275.
275. They approved 275 for a purchase of an ambulance. We had found that ambulance in Indian. Found the ambulance in that was brought down to Indianapolis.
It was in Michigan, and it's in Noblesville right now. Went and looked at it on Tuesday. Purchased it for approximately $7,000 less than they were asking.
Okay.
And picked up the check for it today, and I'm going to get delivery of it next week, probably Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, okay. That is a Ford. It's got a brand new chassis, correct?
Brand new chassis, remounted box. It is a E450 chassis.
Okay.
So it had about 300 miles on it.
Okay.
I'm guessing most of that was the drive down from Michigan.
What engine did that have in it?
Hold on a second here. I actually have pictures of the motor. I'm not sure it'll tell me what it is.
We can come back to that.
So what was the total cost, Mark? You said you got it cheaper?
I got it for, it should have been like $266,575, and I got it for $260.
$260? Awesome.
So that, and that extra money could be used for radios or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Buy it in there because it's already been approved.
Yeah,
so.
awesome.
And Julie said that was, she also gave approval as far as.
Yes, and I stopped and talked to Julie yesterday about delivery of it, and she agreed with me. We don't want to mess with it until about maybe a month before they're going to take over the service, because that way if we need to sell that, we haven't put Park County stuff all over it. It's still a white blank slate, and we can
Okay.
just roll it around and sell it back out.
Okay.
We're looking at, if we're going to July 1st with the current provider, probably in June, she'll take possession of it. We need to get the MOU or lease agreement written up hopefully
Right.
next week.
Right.
So it can be approved by both counties.
Okay.
And then she can start working with it.
You have to picture, you said it's in pictures, or was it in written form?
No, I took.
Oh, separate.
Pictures of it. I do have the, I don't know if the paperwork actually shows what the size of the motor is. It just basically says it's a new truck.
2024 gas chassis remount. Nope, that's not it.
I don't think it says in this one either. I think it says 6.7, something like that. I don't know.
I gotta step in and try and find my glasses. I think I left them in there.
Ford does make it 6.7 V8.
Say again?
I gotta put it right
Ford
here.
does make it 6.7 V8.
Yeah, and it is a V8. It's not a 10.
So the official cost when I get it was
$260,000 for the ambulance and the Stryker load equipment.
$260,000 for the new ambulance, and that's a brand new Ford
Ford E.
Ford
450.
E50 with a rebuilt or refurbished box.
Yes.
So we got a new chassis with a refurbished box for $260,000 with a striker unit in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that include the, not, and the cot also, right?
That's the striker load system and the cot.
And the cot.
And charger and extra batteries. We will still have to pay for warranty. I did talk to the vendor.
I'd like you to come from set because people need to hear you, what you're saying.
On the-
Okay, as long as they can hear you. I don't know if they can.
I did talk to the vendor about the warranty, because the warranty is another $3,500, and he said we would go directly to Stryker for that, and we've got, is it Justin? Is that our Stryker guy? That's the guy we would use, and I talked to Julie yesterday about that, and Julie was saying that's who she uses too, so. We will, as soon as we take possession, we will get the warranty set up. If we do not do the standard warranty work on this, everything's void after that, and you won't get the extended time to allow you to get up to 10 years or plus, as long as you keep your maintenance up and everything.
Otherwise, it's 7 years.
Right. And that's an issue with some of the current stuff. Anyway, you had a bunch of questions and they're answered in these pictures. We usually don't look through them.
That's all right, I can look at them later. You answered my question.
One of the questions, Brett, that you brought up, you said that the doors open a different way, and they said that that's not.
Yes.
Yeah, and when I got there, these doors are flip-ups, so how they open a different way, I don't know. They'd have to open down.
It's not that
But-
they're different, it's a mirror image. The doors are on the opposite side of the ambulance.
There's doors on both sides, but typically the person who is taking care of the patient sits on this side and has access to certain things. This ambulance is set up so that person would sit on the opposite side and have access to the same things then. So it's just a matter of getting used to when you get
Yeah.
in with the patient.
Okay.
I noticed in some of the old ambulances that cot is more set off towards the driver's side. Okay, this one is centered. It's pretty much right down the middle. And there are bench seats on both sides. They call it a CPR seat, the small seat on one side. This has a bench seat on both sides. To me, as a
Should have a seat at the head also, right?
Say again?
There's a seat at the head of the cot too,
Yes,
right?
yes, the seat at the head of the cot has what I was told yesterday is a new standard. You flip down the back of that seat and it has a child's car seat right there with a 4-point hitch or not
Harness.
hitch, harness to hold the child in case you have to haul the child.
What's a 4-point harness for the passenger or for the EMT paramedic too?
The medic has a 3-point harness.
Oh,
It doesn't have
not the 4.
doesn't have this side.
One of the things I want to say for the record is, in the purchase of this ambulance, we were getting a refurbished box, and if we would get a new ambulance chassis with a new box, it would be $120,000 more. Is that correct? Can I get it?
It would be more than that. It would be about $160,000 more than this purchase was.
Right.
The price between a brand new ambulance and just this ambulance difference was $120,000.
Okay. Okay. And I can see that that's justifiable, in my opinion, to with that, refurbished box. If you want to cut anything, that would be the.
But I think we need to start looking right now at that second ambulance, because we're
Yeah.
going to need one later in the year. And Britain had put together some plans to finance one, which meant we wouldn't be coming up, you're still paying the same amount, now you're paying some finance fees and all that kind of stuff.
Talking about
too.
leasing. Or when you're talking
Finance
about-
or lease, however it works. But that's probably a smart way to go on a second ambulance.
We have time to work on that. That's the big
Right,
thing.
but that time
Well,
being
we
a couple
do-
of months.
we
at
don't.
most,
Okay.
No, we don't. We need second ambulance needs to come on by September. Right now we have 2, as far as I know, still 2 new ones available to us at around the 270 plus mark. Last night or yesterday, was able to, with Ileana's, if we would take one of Ileana's, they have 2 boxes that are worthwhile remounting or rebuilding, change out the carriers. I can't remember the name of the company now, in Indianapolis anyway, is a bronze and demure dealer. They said that they could rebuild those one, whatever each box anyway, and they could have it completed in 4 months. if this is something we're interested in, he's up at FDIC this week. He would come in on Monday and price out one of those boxes if we were interested in going that direction. And then we would have a true price as to what that would be. And then there still would need to be a negotiation with Ileana as to what it would cost us to purchase that unit from him anyway, or from them.
And he gave me prices on his ambulances as they sit, not the equipment inside, just the chassis and the box. The two that we'd be looking at, one was $39,500 and the other one was $35,500 is what he's asking.
Okay, so basically 35 and 40 on top of whatever the cost would be to put a new carrier underneath it and refurbish the box that's there, or remount the box.
So what is a new box, about 150,000, 175, brand new box?
A new Braun box. I
Yeah,
did
right.
speak to Braun, but that was about 2
But
years
this wouldn't
ago.
be new, this would be...
No, but I mean, how much are they new?
I wouldn't even tell you a number right now because I'm probably.
But it made a difference
I'm
last
thinking
time.
It was like either 89 or 189,000 is what the box from Braun cost brand new. You know that?
That was refurbished.
No,
What-
I'm saying a brand new, just the box from Braun.
I don't know.
I thought it was
I
a
don't
good
recall
chunk of
any.
money.
Well, the statement made a while ago is that the difference between us and a new box and an old box was at least $120,000. I mean...
Well, on the ambulances, because Britton found those two sisters that were brand new, and that was the difference in what we were looking at in those brand new ones.
Those are 270-some thousand. Carrier. Of course, they don't have, you have to add the striker gear to it, and that's
The
another
striker gear about
100 that's
70,000 or something like that,
128,000.
The striker gear's $120,000.
$128,000.
$120,000.
28,000. And then to furnish it out, you still have to get the either Zoll or LifePak monitors put into it. There's other things that have to go on,
Right.
but you're talking about another $100,000 on top. So 228,000 plus would have to go on top of the ambulance, regardless of whether it's a remount or a new one. So
Okay. So, what's going to happen here, as far as I know, is that they will take possession of that whenever we start. They will provide all the insurance, everything, maintenance, everything on it. It will be leased to them for $1 or whatever it is. Have to talk to John about how we do it. But then the moment and something happens, the base of this agreement, when we want something back, we can get it back. You know, they're mainly helping us out. But hopefully it turns into a longer term.
In the past, we've done equipment that way with memorandums of understanding,
Yeah.
which lays out what their responsibilities are, what our responsibilities are. We talked at the council meeting, even if they are covering the insurance, we need to have insurance on that also, which I don't think is a whole lot more money probably, because we're insuring so many
Right.
things, you know, but it's gonna be $1,000, couple $1,000 probably a year.
And the whole basis of what we're doing is, they have two backups, and for them to have both their backups over here wouldn't be right because then they don't have a backup. So if we get one new one put in that fleet, that means they only have to bring one over, not two. And like Britt and everybody else saying, we'll start progressing toward that route of buying another one
Right,
with
'cause they're
the
one
flexibility
they
and
need
time.
back.
well, if these two new ones, I mean, they can go away anytime. Somebody might buy them. So anyway, they're available, or as far as I know, they're still available today. And we had that one remount. There is no other remounts, no other new ones on our radar at this point. Not that they won't show up later today or later on, but if it's a new one, it's not a problem. We can get those before September. If it's a remount, we have at least a location that we can do a remount, regardless of whether it's Ileana or some other ambulance from somewhere else, in a 4-month period. But 4 months from September is what backing off is. September,
think-
August, July, June. By the end of May, we need to have a decision made, or before.
And you think
The
what-
sooner the better, anyway.
You think we need to go through the leasing program with that? You think it'd be better than?
To me,
Regardless, you're going to have money appropriated to take care of that lease.
we have at least the two alternatives I've looked into is First Financial here in Terre Haute. The other one's Republic out of South Bend. Republic does government fleet operations. Actually, I wanted us to look at that for our highway department, but anyway, they've provided numbers for that. Anyway, they'll provide numbers once we decide what those are. Same thing with finance. I got numbers before, and it's reasonable to do. What it comes down to is I think we should conserve our cash position presently and make sure everything is running well. And once we get everything on an even keel, and once we decide how we're going to
Right.
house ambulances and exactly where they're going to be located and how we're going to operate these, then either we can continue to lease these over, basically, typically it's a 5-year period. We can do a 3, 5, or 7. 7 is, most places don't like to do it, but they will do it. But the numbers we got right now are for 5-year periods of time. We can pay off early on those. First Financial I got, they didn't say whether there's a penalty on it. With Republic, there is a 1% penalty for the principal, or if you want to call it, the payoff costs us 1% on the principal plus any accrued interest, which you pay anyway. So that's
for
the
the
penalty.
entire length of the lease, not just like the first 3 years or something?
Yeah, it's 1% of the principal. So every year, every month,
Less.
we pay. This is based on paying every 6 months, I think. We can set it up however we want, but you can pay once a year, or once every 6 months, or every month, or every day, whatever. But if you decide to pay it off, you pay off. The 1% is on the principal. So if you get down to the end, you own $1, you own 1% on a dollar. You owe a penny. So.
You said 1% on the balance or 1% on the original price?
Principal on the remaining balance.
Remaining balance, okay.
Right. Read the fine print. There may be other things in there.
Any other questions about this ambulance purchase?
We need to. And are we interested in remount? Are we still going to investigate again? The new ones are available. Are we not interested in those to this point? Because it's either that's a decision we make today, or
I think we need to get this stuff here done before we go that way, that route, that next decision, my personal opinion.
Well, we could start getting information on that,
Yeah.
to figure out what the cost of the ambulance, if we buy a used ambulance just for the box, the cost of the ambulance, plus then the cost of
Yeah,
remounting, and the cost of a chassis, how does that balance out compared to buying this new one right now, which we could have today and not wait 6 months for?
Did you say someone's coming in to give you more information?
today, if we want a price, I will ask him to do it. He'll come in on Monday to do that. I told him it depends on what happens with our meeting. I didn't know whether we were going to
I'd like to have
pursue that,
information.
or there's no reason to have him come over if we're buying one of the new ones. So it's an
Yeah,
immature.
I'm with Mark. I'd like to see the difference in the pricing, if it's worth remounting or if it's just easier and more cost effective just to buy the new one.
Okay. And it seems to your consensus also, Tim.
Yeah,
I'll ask him to come in on.
I have no problem with any of this, want more, see what you come find out.
I'll ask him to do that.
If the remount came to 20,000 of the value of the, or within 20,000 of the price of the new one, I'd go with the new one because we could have it faster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Well,
it's a new one.
we still have to pay. Well, we're going to have to pay something for an ambulance to get it there, a used one, whatever it is, to get it refurbished. So whatever that price will be on top of whatever
Right.
this price is.
Is
is
the
it-
price of refurbishing it, the price of a new chassis, and the price of the ambulance or the box that you purchased.
Well, they'll get, they'll.
along
Yeah.
the remount.
Well, they say usually the life expectancy of a box before it needs to be refurbished. I know it depends on
10
where you're
years.
driving it. 10 years?
In 10 years, you'll be churning it out.
Okay, and if a refurbished, what, I wonder how, you gotta do it every 6 years, or is there any change in that, or is it still the same?
That's what I mean. In 10 years, you'll be changing the box, doing this again. If we buy one, regardless of whether it's new or used, in 10 years, we'll most likely
Is
be
it-
changing it out.
So a used box, you still get 10 years out of it too?
Yeah, but it's just a matter of how many
Maybe not.
iterations that you can do with that, because a new one, you'll have at
Yeah.
least one more or two more times that you can rebuild it than you do a used one.
When I spoke to Braun, which is out of Ohio, the guy told me that if we bought one, a brand new ambulance with a Braun box on it, and 9 years down the road, we wanted to remount it, and we take it back to Braun, they would remount it forever.
Yeah.
As long as we took it back to them. You take it to Bob's, I put a box on an ambulance company, it's done. They won't remount that again. And then that's where they tell you stories like that. It can only be remounted 3 times, things like that. It can probably be remounted as many times as you want. It's just that Braun will never back that box again.
So you say Braun, who's a manufacturer, right?
It is.
If you buy a box off them, they will remount it next time for you for free.
Not for
Not for
free.
free.
I'm saying they will remount it as many times as you want. You're gonna pay every.
Okay,
time.
okay.
It's kinda like
I thought
an
you said
airplane,
that,
you
though.
have a
No, I
lot,
said
you do
some
it for a
people
lot.
tell you it can only be remounted 3 times.
Okay.
And then you
Okay.
can't remount it again. But Ron said if they do the work, they'll just continue to remount that box as long as it's not structural cracks and
Right.
things that can't easily be repaired,
Yeah.
you know. Typically in the remount process, they take all the paint and markings off, they strip out some of the wiring and things change over time.
Update it.
So the load you need is more, maybe everything's got a 1,000 watt inverter, and maybe with the new equipment that's coming out, they need a 3,000 watt inverter. So that might require to have heavier wiring, stuff like that. Those are the changes they make during that remount process.
Okay.
It's Braun and then also Demir, or however you say it, anyway. They're owned by the same company now. So that's the same thing with them. So there's 2 boxes that they can do, I guess, forever, if you want to look at it that way. The rest of them typically, it just gets back to whether you want it remounted or not.
And the company that we bought this remount from, okay?
Lifeline.
It's this Lifeline remount from. What the boxes that they specialize in, that they sell, are Hortons. Never heard of Hortons before, but I talked to a few people. Hortons is a really good box.
Mhm.
And it doesn't seem to be more expensive than a Braun or a Demir's. So that might be something to look at too, is they don't have any new ones sitting there right now. And so this probably wouldn't work in our problem in our 3-month period here, but we might look at buying from them in the future a whole new ambulance with a Horton box, as long as that's
Hortons are good.
a way we want to go.
I would probably maybe suggest, once we get more information, like you got, sit down and have another meeting with the council too. I think having the council involved in this, another meeting, I think would be very good. Coordinate between both groups.
Just to have a time frame here.
Yep.
It'd be nice to have the information, not by this Tuesday's commissioners meeting, but the next commissioners meeting. If we had hard numbers, because then the council could be the next month, and that way we'd be in line.
Okay.
Would hope by the end of next week we would have hard numbers, or sometime next week, so. I don't know
Okay.
that we'll have them by Tuesday's meeting. Is that an evening meeting or a morning meeting?
Tuesday would be.
Any other questions about the ambulance? You say you're going to be getting it when?
I'm gonna pick it up Monday or Tuesday. I worked out a deal with the guy, he's gonna drive it over, we're gonna put it in Cayuga in the pole barn up there, and then I'm gonna drive him back.
Okay, now, we
I'll lose
need,
a bunch of people at
we,
once.
we need to inform George Smith that we have that, and have
When-
insurance
when
on
I-
before it's moved.
First off, do I have permission to sign for it?
I already told you, yes.
Okay.
You already did, didn't you?
No, I haven't. All I've signed is agreements that we want to buy this. I haven't signed the paperwork, the
Oh.
title and all that stuff. When I get the delivery, that'll be with it, and I'll just bring it right to you.
Why don't you put it up for a vote? Everything we're doing, put it for a vote. RJ, Britt, or somebody make a motion to.
Motion to allow Mark O'Hare to sign for the title and paperwork associated with the new ambulance purchase.
I'll second the motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So I should have that next week too.
You got the official notification.
Sure. And I'm guessing, we have a 10-day or 20-day period a lot of times when we buy a new vehicle.
Check on the size of that motor. I'd like to know that and make sure that's got enough meat in it to do what, up the hills and down hills. I assume it probably does, but it'd be nice to know that.
It's
Little
being a
light now.
450, it's a herky vehicle. We
Yeah.
were talking yesterday and you were mentioning 350 chassis, and the one thing I would worry about on that is brakes and things like that they're not as heavy as the heavy.
I think a
truck.
450, I have a 450 and it's got the straight axle on the front. It's a heavier, whole different animal.
Yeah,
So we did go with the gas, right?
yes.
Yeah. I think people don't realize that, so they've had a lot of problems with diesels, and most of the ambulance companies want gas now,
The
right?
DEF
Because the
systems on
DEF
the new
systems on
vehicles
them.
Are problems.
Okay. Any other questions about the ambulance? We'll purchase, if not, we'll move on to the next.
I don't have anything else, I
I
don't
don't.
think, at this point.
Okay. Next thing is purchase of the existing ambulance facility at Cayuga. We do have a quote on that, and it was from an agreement that was sent out to Eric, he agreed to sell it to us for $140,000, is that correct?
Correct.
And so what we're looking at possibly buying that, today we'd like to bring it up for discussion and eventually bring it for vote for purchase. We have had it looked at. It's a very good building, very sound. I think it's got a fairly new roof on it. It was purchased, I think, for $85,000 years ago, whenever they bought it. The whole thing about it, one recommendations came in and said, let's set up a temporary this, and I'm thinking, if someone wants to do that, it's fine. But it's totally, in my opinion, a waste of money, a waste of time. When you have something existing, sitting there, ready to go, why would you try to do something different other than that? I mean, it's being used by them, it's a proven facility. Best in the world, no, but the other thing about it is the investment. I mean, I've been investing in property for years, and I know that buying that for X amount of dollars, our eventual goal is to build a new facility. So if we can invest in this facility, and then when we decide to build another facility, we will probably get our money back. And so therefore it's really a wash in the process, and you don't have the logistics of doing all this stuff. Now, if someone else wants to go out on their own and make a recommendation of doing all that, I don't see the logic in that decision. So I'm open up for discussion. So what do you all think about the purchase of this building?
As I said in my email to you guys, I'm just not in favor of spending $140,000 for it. I think it's a good location. I think we all can probably agree to that. There's a lot of moving parts. We don't know, pending a purchase, we don't know liens, judgments, we don't know anything about that. Speaking with some council members, I still have the opinion that we could work something out with someone else, and whether it's lease or rent a location. The ambulances down south are being parked outside. I don't know if the North Station, if they park inside or not. And that's still my opinion today, is that I still am not in favor of spending $140,000 on that location.
The thing about the
Come up
lien,
with-
that's unless you want to talk, I'll respond directly to that. In all title search, in any time any properties are purchased, we have right now, a lot of times you get, and I deal a lot in this, so realtor fees are usually a cost involved in purchase of property. The realtor we got involved in, Doug Waters, he is going to do all the closing costs for $750. I think that's a tremendous deal. Number two, the title insurance costs $1,000, and we've had 2 appraisals done at $500 a piece. So you have $2,750 in the total cost of this. And investing and messing with real estate over the years, there was a title search done on that, and any liens that are on it will come out. And we never purchase property based on buying it without a title search. So the title search will automatically identify any issues. I think that that will be resolved, and also I don't think it is owned by the ambulance company. It is owned by him and his wife, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Is that true?
Correct.
So does
So-
that,
It's separate from Ileana.
The title search is standard. I understand your concern about it, but any property you ever buy, you always have title work done on it. And
Well-
that title work will bring that out if there's any liens or any
yeah,
encumbrances.
so does the federal lien that they have with the IRS, will that not attach to anything that's, even though it's a LLC or S corp? I don't know how his business is set up.
That
But that
will-
won't attach to no personal assets?
That will be the answer that will come out of this title search.
Okay, I mean,
No,
that's the question.
it's
that-
not.
Yeah, we
This
will
is
never,
separate from
that
the,
question, right?
I've talked
We
to
would
ours.
never-
This is separate from the,
we would never invest in buying property without a complete title search, which completely takes care of all that
Discuss
situation.
this with the IRS.
Okay.
this is separate, this is separated from any of the Ileana. Now, the contents are Ileana though, minus the appliances, i.e. a fridge, a
Yeah.
stove. I don't know if there's anything else
AC and
that's
furnace.
movable, or washer, dryer. I guess those are the 3 things that are owned by the Shawnees.
Right.
Everything else though is attached to Ileana.
Yeah.
Beds, dishes, whatever's in there. I don't know what all's in there, but the rest of the stuff would be attached. And if we want to purchase any of that, he's set a price to it. It's all supposedly negotiable if we want to take it or not take it for whatever reason. But those monies we'd have to talk to the IRS as to where that is, or of that.
Like I told Brent, the main thing is securing the building. These other things, we can work through them, but securing the building. Number two, RJ, you said some alternatives. What would be your plan if this didn't work?
Like I said, I think we should, I mean, we could look at other alternatives. I mean, we can spend $140,000, but as I, sent you guys in the emails, I think, finding a location to lease or rent, I can't say that I have one off the top of my head. We've reached out, or I've reached out to fire departments, and I haven't been given a yes answer, but I do believe there's places in the community, may not be directly in Cayuga. Someone had even mentioned North Vermillion be willing to help, whether it's in their
North Vermillion?
North Vermillion,
To do what?
to house people. That was a recommendation from someone within the county, and I'm awaiting
North Vermillion School Corporation to house people?
for the ambulance.
How would they?
That was a recommendation from
I
somebody.
know, I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
if we talk about something, we're to the place now, we gotta have an answer.
These are recommendations.
We gotta have an
Again,
answer.
it's a $140,000 cost, and like I said, I think if we really push come to shove, I think we could find a house.
Well, we're
or a
to that
location.
place.
We
We're
are
to
at
that
push
place.
come to
We're
shove.
there. We're there.
Where we're at
We're there.
here, RJ, is that if for whatever reason there would be a failure on Ileana's part, which can happen anytime between now and July 1st, before the end of this, what is the contingency? To have this contingency needs to be in place.
Well, I
And
think-
if we don't have it in place, then we are
Well, I'm open, if you got a better solution, please do it, but I don't see
Then that means
that.
the ambulances, we won't have ambulance up north. We'll have, unless we have lodging available to us at the drop of a hat at that point. And then that means the ambulances will end up being both housed down in the south side, where we do have lodging available to us.
Well, I was notified of this purchase this week in an email. Of this offer of 140,000. Again, I think if we would all, as commissioners, I think we can look and see if there's other options out there, and there very well may not be. But I believe between the Rise, the jail, I think we could probably put something together. But if the majority of these commissioners feel that $140,000 is a
No,
prudent
we're not
purchase,
saying that, RJ, we're saying if you got a better alternative, please let us know.
I'm giving you the options.
Well, how long do you want to wait, RJ, to
There's
make
no-
this decision? Are we going to wait 4 months to do this? Are we going to wait one day? If there's a failure for whatever reason at Ileana, if they are not able to fulfill their obligation by July 1st, if tomorrow they decide they're folding up shop, then what do we do?
Well, I think that contingency's already been put in place with Park County, hasn't it?
I mean, housing.
No, they're counting on us to have a
No.
structured housing.
They expect a structure to be there.
Park County doesn't have a building over here.
In fact, they want everything under the
We are
roof.
responsible for the facilities. We're responsible for the two ambulances. They'll put an ambulance over here for a short period of time, but not more than 45 to 60 days, that we need to be able to put another ambulance into play. Now, they'll help us along, I'm sure, but they have to cover their county. And come September, they will be pushing these ambulances into service because of the Covered Bridge Festival and water football and whatever else is going on over there. So we're at a point now that if there is a failure for whatever reason, we don't have lodging. That means
And it
that
could
the
happen
north
tomorrow.
side, that means everything,
Something could happen
and I don't have
anytime.
necessarily a problem with it, but that means
Yep.
ambulances will be responding from the Clinton area as opposed to an ambulance located up here north until we have a facility available to them. So, how long are you wanting to wait, or how long do you want to look into this?
Well, I think 4 months is, I think that's a little too long. I think, given a week, I think enough phone calls could be made to see if there's any facilities available for rent or lease. Because again, we don't need a facility to park the ambulance inside because they're not being parked inside at the Clinton
I'm
station.
talking about lodging. I'm not
Lodging,
talking
yeah,
about
so
that.
we're looking for a house with lodging or
How long
property.
do you want, you're going to take 1 week and you'll have that tied up then?
I don't know that I'll have it tied in a week, but I think enough phone calls or emails can be made within a week to see if there's anything available north end of I would say Hillsdale area. I can't say that there's gonna be a location specifically in Cayuga. I don't have a crystal ball sitting in front of me.
Well, we need one. We need to make a decision here. If you need a week, then that means we take a chance that in a week Ileana will not fail, and in a week that we will have a position that we can place people in the north side, or otherwise
Well,
our fallback
are
is
you,
Clinton.
are you guys, well, yeah, I mean, there is a location in Clinton, yeah, that, I mean, that's not gonna be the perfect scenario, driving up there, but did you guys consider leasing or looking at any other properties, or was it just the $140,000 offer from Eric?
This building is set up already
I
for
understand.
ambulance. They're already there, so to me, it made sense to continue the operations out there until we come up with a permanent facility.
And that, and I understand your opinion on that, and that's fine if the majority of the commissioners wish that. I was just saying I found out about this purchase this week, so if I knew that we were
It just
wanted
came
to
available
add-
this week. It just came available
Yeah,
this
that-
week.
it was
You just got everything we got.
You may be a day behind, okay, on all this.
No,
This
you've
is
got
a
everything.
decision that needs to be made in a very timely manner.
And again, if the majority of you guys feel that is
I
fine.
want
we
you to
don't-
be on
we
board
don't-
with this. This isn't going, we're not just going past the buck
No.
here between us.
There-
Oh,
there-
I'm
there's no-
washing my
there's
hands
no-
of it.
There's no passing the buck.
The
It's
thing
a
about this, the thing about
$140,000
this,
cost.
we have a solution to the problem on hand. And if you got something, you gotta have a solution in hand. You gotta say, X gonna do X for X amount of dollars and bring it and have it all laid out, so it's a valuable option.
Tim,
Right
this
now-
is the taxpayers' money at $140,000. So even if I make phone calls and I can't find a location, I still may not be on board with the $140,000 cost. I
Okay.
can make those phone
Well,
calls.
Okay.
then I think we should just wait until you get comfortable.
we'll wait for you to
I've
come up
not,
with a solution.
if, this should, needs to be, to me,
Yeah.
a unanimous
Yeah.
unanimous decision.
Do you
And
think
if
you're
we
not
want,
gonna get the $140,000 back out of it in a sale later?
I don't know that you sell it later. I don't know what you get out of it, Mark.
I deal in real estate.
Well, Tim, I had
I know
discussions with
the value
council
of real
members
estate.
before the other meeting, and there are several, and even Neil Costello spoke about not
Neil
wanting to spend.
Costello has no problem with it.
Well, then he's changed.
When I explained it to him, he had no
Then
problem
he's
with it.
changed his mind with
They all
with
changed
me.
their
Well,
mind.
That's
Anybody has.
okay. That's fine.
And I-
Again, and you guys can say this has to be unanimous, but votes don't have to be
no,
unanimous.
I'm not saying, I'm saying I'm going to
Yeah.
insist that we have a unanimous
Yes, I do.
decision.
That's what I am.
This is something of importance, and if one of the three of us, this is 30% of the vote here, and if you're not on board with this, then
We're not
get
doing
us
it.
on
Oh,
board.
I wish-
If you're so convinced that we can have something better,
Bring
and
a
that we
solution.
can, that this will work out economically better, and we're willing to sit here and take the chance that we will not have an ambulance service up there, or a location anyway.
Well, I think it's
That's fine.
I think it's worth looking into some other locations instead of, I
Well,
think
you're
you
on.
guys.
You're
and if
on.
You, well,
Do
but
it.
but again though, it's nice to have two commissioners say, well, you do it yourself.
We're all gonna do it together.
And
We've
that's-
been looking,
and that's-
RJ.
You just told me you guys hadn't looked for any houses, that it was just, this was a perfect scenario for the 140,000. Like, I mean.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's what I mean.
This seemed to be the best scenario because of being a timely decision.
And I agree with it being a good
If they
location
go-
and a good property. I agree with
If
that.
for some reason we don't have the ambulance service tomorrow, Park County steps in, but Park County steps in where? That's the question. So we do have that covered. Yes, we will have 2 ambulances here for 45, 60 days, whatever it is.
And worst case
but-
scenario, they would be based out of Clinton. That's the worst case scenario of both trucks.
Yeah, and if that's all right, why is it
that's
not
not
all right in the
acceptable.
future?
Well, I don't think it is. I think there needs to be a truck up north. That's why I've made the statements about looking into other areas, whether it's fire departments, whether it's this.
It's gonna be up north.
Well,
It's exactly gonna be up north.
I've thought that through, because you have to have lodging, and that means shower, or change the whole ambulance service, and Park County won't do that. They won't go to 12-hour shifts and sit in their ambulances. We don't have fire departments that have living quarters up north in there. They have sitting rooms, they have community rooms, but as far as having bed, shower, laundry, on down the line, we don't know of that being available to any fire department.
I don't know without calling a fire chief and asking. I don't know. I know several have showers. Now I don't know about bedding, but again, if they'd be willing to maybe have a conference room changed into something to help the county out, I think that's worth asking.
Okay, well, then do that. How long
Yeah.
do you want, how long are we gonna sit here and wait on this?
Well, I will make
decision?
some phone calls today, Britton, after I get off work and see what I can find out. And I appreciate both of you saying that we want all of us to be on board, but I wish that was the case with every decision the commissioners have made in the last 4 years. But I'm glad to hear that now. That is nice.
Don't get off track.
Wow. Anyway, so when are we gonna come back and review?
I will
We'll have to have
wait-
another meeting in here pretty soon, another special meeting. I
Okay,
guess.
can I say something?
Sure.
You got a commissioners meeting next Tuesday. You can discuss this again at that point with what you brought back to the table.
I will,
And the council meeting isn't until next month. Right now, there wasn't a special meeting set, so you want to have this decision made before there so that they can make a decision in May, basically, right? And allow the purchase, or if we're renting, no matter what, there's going to be funding.
Well,
And
renting,
if
they
we're-
don't, we
if
just
we're
have to
renting, we're
have
throwing money
funding.
away.
But if we're buying, then the council has to
Well,
participate
the
in
council
that.
doesn't have to weigh in on renting a facility?
They just have to provide funding, but they don't, but that's funding, not, if we buy property, council actually has to agree with the purchase of property. So if we're renting, they don't have to necessarily agree with where we're renting, they just have to fund that renting or leasing or whatever it is.
So either way, the council's gonna have some say in this, as far as
Yeah,
funding.
oh, yeah.
I
I don't
talk-
think we have the
So
funding.
those are your timeframes that are built in already, if you work with those.
Oh, they have a 10-day period of time.
Well, if you
also.
know ahead of time, they can advertise before the next meeting, and then it's
Correct.
not walking in waiting for, but it's gotta be figured out pretty quick, and that would be this next commissioners meeting is the
It's too late.
23rd.
It's too late to advertise for the council meeting.
Is it really? For next month?
Not for next month. No, impossible.
10 days?
Let me look. Eric, you might help me here.
No,
That's,
it's
well,
not too late.
today's the 18th, 10
Their
days
meeting
is,
It's the
is
6th.
Their meeting's the 6th?
No, excuse me.
13th.
13th.
So the 10-day deadline for appropriation is the 3rd. Our edition before that would come out on the 1st, so if you got in by the 1st, if you got in for that paper, you'd be legal.
So
So
next
by the
Wednesday.
23rd.
Yeah.
The 24th, I'd have to have it by the 24th of this, I'd have to have it by Wednesday.
So if you,
To get it in for
if you
next
got
month.
your time.
So you
by the
guys are
23rd.
looking at, you would have to make a decision as to what you wanted to put in front of the council,
Yeah.
pretty much at Tuesday's meeting.
The other thing is,
That's
we,
your
Okay.
thank you.
Park
I know
County,
it's close.
And I
Yeah.
might almost
It's
suggest.
tight, but it's doable.
Suggest that you advertise the 140, and then if you for some reason later on, you find this rental property that in a year is gonna cost you,
140.
well, way less than 140 hopefully, the money's already been advertised.
Yeah.
And you're just asking for less than.
the basis
I
of.
don't know if that's legal or what the deal is.
That,
They just
from,
have to appropriate that at that meeting.
the basis of all this, when you really think about the logical reasoning behind it, it makes total sense.
I think so.
We have a facility they're currently using, they're familiar with it. The changeover is simple and plain, they're staying in the same building they've always stayed in, the logistics is the same. There is no hidden cost. There's no hidden cost. It's 140, and I know from a basis of real estate, especially if it's undervalued, that return on investment will always come back. So if you're looking at building another facility, which I think we all agree to build new facilities, if we have a facility we bought for X amount of dollars and we don't have to do, and it's got a new roof on it, if you look at the appraisal, I sent it to everybody, of the building's in excellent shape. The return on your investment is going to be the same amount, at least what you paid for it. And so if we want to build something in 2 years, we will get our money back. I can just about assure you that that money will all come back. So it's not a taxpayer's, and ain't a taxpayer's cost at all. The money will be returned. And so the logistics of just trying to figure out something else, I don't know if I want to get involved in all the logistics of trying to make this all happen. When you got something stable that's working, why would you try to change it? If you got a return on investment, it's good. The logistics alone is just, we don't, I mean, if someone comes up with a plan and they can do it real simple, that's fine, but I don't see that happening.
And that property has almost doubled in value in 7 years.
Oh.
I don't see it going the other way.
Yeah.
In 2 years, or however many years you use the facility.
And Julie, Julie is a very important part of this, who is from Park County, who's overseeing it. She did recommend us doing that. And that's very important in making this process work. So we can give it time till next meeting. You'll come up with another plan, right, RJ?
I will reach out and see if there's any other available options
Okay.
besides purchasing a facility for 140,000. I can't
That's fine.
guarantee anything, but I will make some phone calls.
Okay, good. Come back with a plan and we'll look at it. Everybody's got the right to make their suggestions. I respect that. So, then we can say that that decision we made at Tuesday's meeting, right? Is that decision which way we're going on this?
I would hope so.
That's fine with me.
Okay. And, okay, so with that being said, we do have the ambulance contract that was been presented to you, and I just got it. First time I've looked at it too, RJ, so we just got it all at the same time.
Yeah, I got it,
I haven't had a chance to
When
go
did-
into it.
It's been sent to John, right?
yeah, I received it yesterday or the day before, I don't know what day I
Yeah,
received it.
I just looked at it.
Yesterday.
That's when we got it.
Yeah.
And,
Like I
and,
said,
and again, I think the same basis we all do here is we've got today, Tuesday's meeting is a perfect time. You got enough time to look at it to that date?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like I said, I talked to
Yeah.
Julie yesterday and had her walk me through the front couple pages because it was messed up in the document I got. It's pretty cut and dry. I think it helps both counties out and it leaves enough leeway if anybody wants to leave at a certain time. It's enough leeway one way or the other. And she said it was.
Did you have issues with it?
Yeah, I discussed I forwarded my the comments I have to Spur. Some of these are legal questions.
Forward your discussion to me on it too, or did you? What your questions you have? If you want to, it's up to you, but.
Yeah, I don't have a problem doing that.
But overall, I think it's a good contract, and
Well,
I
there are issues in there that need to
Yeah.
be resolved, and
Understand.
it's 98% there. These
Yeah.
are more, it's just like, we're not gonna pay workman's comp, they're not our people.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's insurance issues here that need to be addressed that are not quite there yet. But
Yeah.
I mean, they're just small things that need to be cleaned up, and this, I don't think there's, the big thing, if there's a big thing here, and I don't, is the force, or not the force majeure, but the
Is it what?
indemnification clause. That is something that I would like for us to discuss with Spur. Basically, it says we're indemnifying Park County for everything, but yet we're not the management of this service. So if any decisions being made there, this is what it is in a nutshell. Anyway, any decisions that they make, good, bad, or indifferent, we're indemnifying them. So that means we pay for all their court costs and attorney fees and whatever else.
Yeah.
So that part needs to be looked at and discussed a little bit further, because we're not part of that management decision making. There's some other things in here that with decision making that we need, if there's a problem or if there's a complaint, that we share those complaints, and for lack of service, because too good of service, or whatever the case may be, that we need to be able to participate in those things as well. The rest of it is just wordsmithing, maybe. Like I said, it's 90+% there. I don't think there's anything in here that we won't.
Nothing major.
Well, just the indemnification is the only thing I have. If you want to call major, it's not major, we will work that out.
Right.
And that reads kind of like a standard.
That is a standard.
So John should be able to pick out the.
This is the same thing that we get from every contract we get from the engineering firms or whoever it is. They want us to indemnify them, and regardless whatever happens, because we agree to these things, we have to pay for it.
Right.
And it may be a lot of money. We need to go in eyes wide open on this
Right.
indemnification.
Right.
So that's it.
The other thing is, I called Luke Martin today and left a message for him, and if you want to call him too. One of the buildings, there is a garage up before a ambulance, and we measured, it was 9-foot, 10-foot door.
It's a 9-foot door. The ambulance from the bottom of the tire to the top of the box is 8 foot 6 inches. So that gives you 6 inches of clearance. I did not open the door to see if sometimes the door comes down in the opening slightly, which could be 3 inches or so. But the issue is, just looking at the situation, the antennas mounted on top of the box are why it's not being put inside. I'm
Right.
going to say, you can see they're beat to crap right now, because
Right.
people had driven it in there and driven it back out.
Right.
So I'm guessing that's why it was stopped being put in there. Originally, the ambulances were being put in that garage. Looking at it, there's only one thing coming out of the ground up into the structure, and that's your power coming to the breaker box inside there. So that would have to be cut. But it looks to me to be a simple job of jacking the building, figuring out how many courses of block you need to put under there. And it's already on a block foundation. It's sitting on a foot-in block. So you're just adding block to that.
Okay.
And deciding whether you want a 10-foot door. A 10-foot door would probably do you, but then you buy another ambulance 3 years down the road, assuming we're still in that facility, maybe it needs a 12-foot door. So I'm saying if you're gonna do this, just go for the 12-foot door.
Is this got the environmental controls in it?
No,
HVAC?
there's absolutely no environment in the building at all. That's it.
Well, part of the reason to get it, I mean, it's one thing to get it out of the rain or out of the sun, but it's also another thing with cold, heat, and weather attacking it. I mean, this is not just a raise the structure thing. It also, I think, gets back as to, before that would ever happen, how long, what is our next move? Are we going to maintain that facility for an extended period of time, or are we going to be moving to something else down the road? And I think that decision needs to weigh in before we go trying to modify buildings or spending money on the modification of buildings. at
And
this
that's where I
point.
think we need to get the cost on what that modification is.
That's
So
fine.
that we can weigh it against it. If the cost came back to be insignificant, even if
Sure.
we were only there a year, might as well do it. But if the cost came back to be a huge amount of money,
There's a cost to benefit ratio, so
Exactly.
whatever that is, so.
because you'd have to insulate it, you'd have to buy probably, what are those units called, like the hotels have, the wall unit?
Yeah.
You know, it's called a split something, I think, or.
You're right.
You'd have to probably
A
put that on
split
there
system or
to-
something like that.
To
Mini split.
mini splits. Yeah. And that probably by itself is 10 grand you're looking at.
But anyway, it's not just a matter of raising the building, we have other things that would need to be done if we want to go to that extent with it. But let's see where we're going with facilities, and that's another discussion to be had.
And that, even if you go with the facility, you're not, I mean, if you want to find something better later and you get your money back and do something different, but the thing is,
Well-
the element of time is very important in this.
Right, because this started off as May 1st, had to be in place. This conversation.
Yeah. And something could happen too to accelerate that too. But I think we're working in the right direction, trying to get things resolved, and I think we've done very well. And we'll just come Tuesday with that decision. We'll make that decision at Tuesday's meeting. Put it on the agenda. Can you put it on the agenda?
It's on the ambulance all on.
So that we will, Tuesday is the day we'll make a decision to move on.
And do you guys want to have like an MOU or a lease agreement at least typed up by then to review? And then
Lease agreement?
for the ambulance to Port County?
Yes, I think that.
Because these are all John's bird things, and he's going to
Can-
need to know this
can-
now if he's.
I don't know, do I ask you, Brenda, or who do I ask about making sure that insurance is put on there?
I'll check, I got a note
It's-
to check with George.
Okay, so the base is that when you pick that thing up,
Yeah.
she has to confirm.
That's already in the works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, usually when you buy a new vehicle.
It's
you
the
have
same
to-
insurance company that we have that
Right.
I know,
Port
but.
County has. That's already
And-
been, it's already in the works to find out that information that you're asking for. It's already
What?
in the works. It's already been asked.
They've already asked.
We're in the process of doing that.
Okay, I'm saying, I was just making sure there was insurance
Yeah.
on that vehicle when it left. That's all I'm trying to do. And you said it's already been taken care of.
It's not taken care of, it's in process. It's-
Okay. So
work
where's
in
the
process.
process at when you're dealing with then?
haven't talked to him today, I don't know. This just happened
I know, but I mean, I
yesterday.
thought maybe, you say you're in the
2 days
process
ago.
of doing something. What is that process? Is what I'm asking. Have you ever talked to George Smith and George Smith's taking care of it? That's
Yes.
all I need to
yes.
know.
Julie's talking to him, I'm talking to him.
Okay.
George is putting together what it's gonna be. I don't know what that is right now.
Okay.
We'll have to give an hour or 2 or 3.
So I want to make sure the
We're in
investment's
process.
covered when it pulls off the lot.
Yep.
Okay, whatever, anything else about this discussion, or any questions, or anything else?
When you find a facility, if you can work out the numbers as to what that is gonna cost, whether it's a lease, or if there's any cost associated with it, it'd be nice to know also, all the way down from utilities on up. That would be instrumental in making that decision if there's something else available to us.
Yep. I'll do that if I
As
find
much
it.
as you can figure
Yeah.
out anyway.
And also, if it's available long-term. This could be a long-term situation.
Well,
so.
yeah, sure. As much as information is
Yep.
available for whatever the facility might be.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
So are we gonna, on this agreement, we'll get it completed and then we can look at it on Tuesday, correct? also, the Park County agreement.
The contract.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like for us to.
There'll be another version of this come out. They're working on it now, and then the two attorneys are supposed to be talking about some of the legal issues with it.
But
So-
if you're making changes or suggesting changes, send us both what you're suggesting changes on it.
Well, I'll send you this, but some of this has already been resolved. I'm not gonna go back and redo it. You know.
No, but I mean, if you're.
If you wanna go through it, we'll go through it today, right now, then.
Yeah.
Okay?
Just so we know what's going on, that's all.
That's
If I
fine.
make
I
any,
don't
if
have a
I make any
problem.
recommendation, I'll send it to you too, so everybody knows.
A lot of these things have
Everybody's
been
informed.
top reviewing, we're okay.
Do you have a copy of this also?
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna,
That's how you got yours. My copy.
that's good.
Okay,
Okay.
so that there's a.
My question I was gonna ask you, do you have any corrections or anything you wanna put
No,
into it?
the only question I had was where it was mentioned about ALS and BLS ambulances, and she clarified that to me.
Has it
It's
been
mentioned
updated on here?
It's mentioned up in the, it's one of the first paragraphs here, I read it yesterday.
The obligations of party?
Yes. And that's where it talks about if for some reason there's a shortage of manpower, that could happen. But it's not the plan.
First part, page 1, part 2, obligation of parties. Later on, it addresses this, but it is what about the exception of mutual aid to surrounding counties, because it's not addressed in this part. It does refer to mutual aid that we'll have to have formal.
Okay.
What, do you want to go through this or not?
I thought you just send it to me, and I can look at it later. That's all.
Well, there's
If you got-
explanations that have, okay. But you won't know what the answers or explanations are, but I'll do that.
Yeah, I'm okay with just, if anybody has a finalized agreement before Tuesday from Park County, just email that out, so I mean, I can review it before the meeting.
They'll be dependent upon when John and the other.
That's what I mean, if they happen to get it done before the meeting, before our scheduled meeting.
That's
anyway.
outside my purview.
Private session going on?
It's open meeting.
It's an open meeting?
You can come in.
Yeah.
But you did say that you're like 98% with the way this is written. There's just some, so it's not a
Yeah.
deal breaker type contract.
Oh, there's nothing here that breaks
Yeah.
anything, no.
I think-
It's a matter of the only thing is how the indemnification is gonna work is the only major, if you wanna call it, it's something that we will work out. But it's just a matter of how we are going to indemnify them, or whether we are going to indemnify them.
Yeah, I didn't know if there's no major changes, then I'm probably gonna be okay with it come Tuesday, because like I said, Julie walked me through the first page that I couldn't really read, so, but,
And I didn't
We're
read the first
there,
page.
we're just about there, just a matter.
It's, yeah, the rest of it is, wordsmithing a little bit,
Yeah.
but that's about it. Except for that last clause there.
yeah, that's fine.
And then she also agreed, there's certain things that she said, yeah, we need to change that, so that'll be reflected in the contract too, but again, they're minor, very, very minor things.
Oh, she had some changes for this?
I had some changes that she agreed that need to be changed,
Oh,
or
that's good.
clarified, one of the two.
Correct.
So when the
anything
new one
else?
comes out, it will be somewhat different.
And
It
then-
will be somewhat different, even if the indemnification clause all stays the same, it'll be somewhat different.
Yeah, I will just email everybody with any information that I come across. I won't email you every time I make a phone call, but if it's anything of real value that we think could be a potential site, I will email you the name, hopefully a lease agreement, rent, cost.
Since it's on the evening, we may, if we can, take time to do a drive-by, if you will.
So I think I can make enough calls today to at least put some lines out and see if I can get some answers by the weekend, and there may not be anything available, but at least,
Try and put
yeah.
addresses, and then you can just go on GIS.
Yeah,
and
we can
see some of the
look, so
papers about it.
just be on the lookout for an email. I'll put Mark on it, and Brenda on it, and everybody,
You
so.
might text us that it's available,
Yeah,
or that you sent something. you
yeah,
know.
I will, and then let you guys look at it, so I'll do that over the weekend and then today as well.
Sounds good, anything else, Steve?
Not for today's meeting, I don't think.
No, I will say the ambulance that was found, I've seen so many emails, I don't know if Mark found it or Britton found it, but I do want to say thanks to whoever found that one in Indy, that was really
I
good.
think
and-
Mark
and
came up with that one.
I was
That was
sending,
actually Brent
Wisconsin.
Brent Lewis is Michigan.
Yeah.
Brent Lewis is the guy, he emailed me quick and gave me the guy's name. He said, hey, I just
Yeah.
heard about this guy.
Brent was really good. He sent me a bunch of stuff too. But yeah, thanks for finding that because that was a really good thing. So
Okay.
We don't want to discuss facilities at this point, do we?
No, because we
I don't
got
mean
one
those
alternative.
facilities, I mean down the road,
Well,
past our temporary situation here.
The Ready Grant facility types.
Well, whether it's Ready Grant or whether it's RDA grants.
Well, I think that
etc.
we done have 2 properties secured, North Vermillion and down across from South Vermillion. I think is excellent.
Well, those are agreements in principle, they're not agreements in principle.
Okay. In other words, we have sites, good possibilities of these sites. We did apply, we got new ambulance facilities designed. We have just applied for the grant through Ready Grant to pay for them. I do not think we'll get the money from Ready, so that's going to be a different, we have to go through a different way of funding that. So we're back to the square one on the funding on the facilities. We do have locations, which are excellent locations, up by North and South Vermillion High School, which is super. But yet we do not have the finance. And the council did approve $600,000 toward that project. And so we're sitting on top of funding from council, but not the mass funding to do the rest of it. So
There's 2 other alternatives that I'd like either to look at as well, or if there's no agreement that those are even a possibility, to nix them so it's not spending more time on. But we can go to a central facility, and like almost every other county has. We do have a very good network of roads through this county. Our transportation network is almost unrivaled in any county. We being able to go north to south or east to west, not even including county roads. So there's still the possibility of a central facility. Another alternative to this is fire district, and I believe this is something that's very viable, is fire districts, where if fire departments either in the north or the south part of the county, creating one that would be basically south of 36, that would be a fire EMS district. And the same thing to the north is a fire EMS district to the north. The advantage of this is that we can put our funding together and not only have our full-time EMS going on, but this would allow for full-time fire department personnel to be in positions to be able to run the fire services anyway. With that also comes the potential of funding of vehicles, training. It consolidates this and allows the county anyway to be able to put on full-time personnel, and also to consolidate in training and equipment and sharing of costs on all these type things, administration, where we have all of our independent fire departments now. I think most of them are struggling a little bit with monies and being able to keep up with training, keep up with personnel, keep up with equipment. And this has a possibility of being able to solve some of that issue of duplication of equipment, duplication of manpower, making it available throughout the county. And it would take it'll take a lot of cooperation between trustees, township trustees.
a lot of cooperation.
And the independent or the individual fire departments that serve these areas. But it's something I think is very worthwhile looking at. If we can, and if people would cooperate and look at this as a possibility for a better service for the county and for the people of the county. But I think if we do that, then that would change a little bit of the perplexion of just building standalone ambulance facilities, where we would have actually a fire EMS facility and being able to house those out there. I've worked from a fire department without ambulances to housing ambulances through, of course, it wasn't owned by the county, it was owned by BHOS at the time, but there was a graduation of services through there and being able to house and serve communities as well effectively. It also, in this county, we can pay for, if we look at all the studies that have been done by Baker Tilly, by University of Maine, Southern Maine, and other information that's been available, we can justify one ambulance to the south. We're right on the cusp of justifying a second ambulance in the county, but because of the time frames of being able to respond as quick as we like, even though we have the good backbone of a transportation network, that a facility in the northern part would be helpful. But if you look at it, it's a part-time. Community-wise, economic-wise, it's a part-time. And how do we do that? The part-time becomes because we can tie that in with the fire department or a fire district, and that allows us to be able to justify and that ambulance that's right on the cusp of being able to actually be a good expenditure of monies for people and for equipment. So it's a large benefit to the north to be able to do something like that, or basically I'll say north of 36. 36 seems to be the population dividing line. But north of 36, most of 80% of our runs are to the south of 36, or Clinton actually, but south of 36. So again, we're on the cusp of that. It says we should have one, but it says we should have a part-time one. And the part-time one could be filled by a full-time EMS fire district up in the northern portion. So I think that has validity to it. It has some
Yes.
substance to it.
Discussion we have down the road, I understand you put forth some good stuff, and we can discuss that. Bases we covered today, I think we've done well in what we're at, and that's something you want to put together a plan like I've written and present it sometime. We're open to everybody who's got suggestions and.
Well, it gets back to attitude of the commissioners here, because if it's a no, there's no reason to be. This will take time to
Yep.
gather all the comments together, the consensus, to get the cooperation of all. There's a lot of moving parts
Yep,
to that.
I agree.
There's not just 3 decisions here on that type thing.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I would-
also set times on that too, right? You can't just go out tomorrow and create a fire district.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, there's so
annual.
much.
We missed it basically, if we were going to do a fire district, it has to be in the works before somewhere in March, middle of March, basically.
Yeah.
So sometime between now, all that, if we're going to have a fire district anyway, fire EMS district, then it comes to play by March. It has to accumulate, or you're out another year. It's just,
It's a lot of discussion,
Yeah,
and you get it together and.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind looking at the outline of it. I just don't know enough about it to make an informed decision one way or the other. And before we leave, I will say I did email you guys and Mark. There is a location in the southern part of the county. Was it the old ambulance location I sent you?
across from the
I think it's
IGA.
the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
one. You're talking about
The old IG or the
Yeah, it's across the street from IGA. It was the diverters when they had
Yeah.
ambulance.
Yeah, I'm
service.
familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has
I've not been inside of it.
Yeah,
I've
so
seen-
she has approached me and said that she is open if the county's, and I don't know if it's a lease, purchase, rent, anything, but she is open that line of communication if we would need something in the south that's
I
got.
did go by there the other day and look, and I did not get out and measure because people live there. I'm not gonna walk up to somebody's
Yeah.
house. I don't know that those garages would fit an ambulance either.
Yeah, I'm just-
Things
I'm-
have changed over the years. and
It's
the
good
diverters
stuff
had
to
it.
bring.
Yeah.
They might have been the old Hearst type ambulances.
Could be,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't
It's
remember
got
those
high
days.
bays. I don't know how high, but they got high bays. in
She
it.
did say some stuff needed renovated, but I said I would email it to you guys, and that is, say on the back burner, but that is an option potentially, but I haven't reached out to ask about numbers or anything else.
I was kind of thinking if
We
we
have
had enough
time
money.
on the south side to make a decision.
So,
If we had enough
Right
money
now.
to build one facility, we could build a facility at North Vermillion, and then we could buy that one.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't be $1 million.
There's some other options.
Yeah.
that-
Park County does, they want to, as soon as possible, get the building or something, keep the stuff inside. That's important.
But we have
Especially
some other potential there. I'm not ready for that discussion,
Okay.
but we have alternatives to look at anyway for down south. The northern sections where we don't have those alternatives available to us yet anyway. So,
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second to motion.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We adjourn. Thank you all.
Brendan, you need anything signed or no?
Okay, I'd like to read what we did.